Hi.
Hi. My name is Steve.
Myla.
Nice to meet you, Myla.
Nice to meet you. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Catman!
Yeah, exactly.
My cat the other day was like staring at the wall, like so close to the wall that he looked like Batman. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing? And then the only thing I could come up with was that he was trying to be Batman. I don't know. Catman.
Yeah. Just real quick, do you mind being recorded?
No.
Okay, perfect. So is there a strongly held belief that you hold that you feel you would like to convince others of?
No.
No. You have no opinion?
No, I mean, it's not that. I don't believe in convincing others.
Oh, okay. So I guess maybe I'll rephrase it then. Is there something that you strongly believe is true? But maybe you don't necessarily have
this might sound
enough
strange.
to prove it to anybody else.
I believe that whatever you believe is true.
Okay, that's a good one.
So, like, I mean, a lot of people, everybody's got their own beliefs, and I don't think any of it's real and any of it's not. If you believe something to be true, then that is definitely your reality, and that's true for you. And whatever I believe to be true is my own reality, and that's true for me. So I don't believe in like one ultimate truth. I think whatever you're creating to be your own reality is what it is for you.
Okay, that's interesting. So when you say your belief is true for you, is there a difference between whether or not, like if something happens to be real or be a part of reality, is there no difference between that and what you believe to be the reality? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think it's all a part of reality. I mean, we can create anything that we want with our minds. So, I mean, that therefore is your own reality. Nobody else is living in my reality except for me. So whatever I believe and am creating with my own thoughts and beliefs and things that I'm putting out into the planet is real for me. But that could be completely different than somebody else that's creating completely different beliefs and thoughts and a completely different world, and that's their reality. So there's not one ultimate reality that we're all gonna sugar cookie ourselves to be. Everything's always gonna be different for everybody. And that's kind of what makes the world go round, really, is that everybody's thoughts are different and everybody's beliefs are different. So, yeah.
So, would it make sense to sort of differentiate between what people think of the world versus how people interpret the world around them versus what is the world around them?
Can you rephrase that?
So,
there was this guy.
if let's see. So if we're talking about okay, I observe and I believe this table is here.
Right.
But in some sort of imaginary sense, there is a possibility, or in some sense, that the table might not be here. Like, could it be an illusion?
I understand that, and yeah, of course it can. Everything is energy, and a lot of most people, are living in this physical world where this table is incredibly real. But sometimes when you start looking past the physical self that we all identify so much with, there are other things happening right in front of our eyes that we cannot see, but they are very much real, just as real as this table. It just really depends on what radio station you're tuning into. So
Just get a clear idea of what you mean by that. Are you speaking of supernatural things or like radio waves?
Well, I use the term radio waves as a saying of like, if you can learn to perceive things differently, you would be tuned into a completely different station than the person that's only seeing you. So I know, for example, that you are not your physical body. That's not who you are really. That's who you are right now, maybe, but I call it like you're wearing a human skin suit. Like, this is just the human skin suit I'm in currently, but this is not who I am. I'm a lot more than this, and I have a lot more happening here than just what you're seeing right now. There's so much more going on that, like, people can't see or even understand or perceive, and stuff that I can't even understand or perceive because I'm definitely, like, I identify a lot with my physical self, but I'm learning how to unravel all of those beliefs that we've been taught since we were born that really constrict us from a lot of things that are in front of us. Like, there's so much more happening, and we really don't see it. We can feel it. I think feeling is a good way to go when you start connecting a lot more to what you feel versus what you see. You're a little bit more on the right path.
Okay, so could you give an example of what something would be like if you felt it and therefore could verify that it's real?
Let me think. I guess like
Something supernatural specifically.
Like intuition, I guess, is what you're kind of saying. Like, there could be one thing in that direction.
So what's intuition look like?
How does, like, a clairvoyant person know that something's going to happen before it does, for example? A lot of the time it's just because they're tuning into a different radio station than other people. I think everybody has these kind of gifts that could see things like that, but most people ignore them. Like, there is a lot of beautiful, magical things that we could allow ourselves to have if we weren't so caught up in the table.
I guess I understand. The time is up, but we could keep going if you want.
Are you hungry, Lauren?
She disappeared.
Yeah, we can go until she comes back.
Okay. So this is interesting. So someone with intuition would have an effective, I guess, if this describes what you're saying, correct me if it doesn't. A person with good intuition could make a prediction of something and find that it came true, but still not be
there was no physical evidence to do that,
certain,
right?
Yeah, still not be completely certain based on the evidence to prove it well enough. Is that basically what you're saying?
Well, I guess the only way to prove it would be for it to happen, right? In the physical world.
For example, like, say someone makes a prediction of who is going to win the election, basically, right? And they turn out to be correct, right? But if you have millions of people all attempting to make a prediction of the same sort, and there are only two, or let's say maybe even like a small handful of possible outcomes.
What if you got more specific?
A lot of people are going to be correct,
you got a deck
right?
of cards, and you picked a card, and you said, what card is that?
Right.
And I said,
right.
3 of clubs, and you flip it over, and it's 3 of clubs. And then we're a little bit like, you know what I'm saying? It's not so...
So I guess in terms of, like, when it comes to odds, if, like, enough people are running the same trick, and it happens to, say, 1 in 52 people with that deck of cards, right? Is there something then special about the 1 in 52 people that got it correct?
Yes. The person is probably tuning in to a different frequency.
So it wouldn't have anything to do with...
It's like not a guessing game, I guess is what I'm saying.
So it wouldn't have anything to do with... I mean, and I'm just talking about, like, many people doing it once, right? And then those ones... So, like, to go back to the election example, right? There's only a handful of possible outcomes of who could have potentially won the election. And everybody's guessing from those, right? But you have millions of people guessing, and there's only one test. So, therefore, you statistically would expect a lot of people to guess correctly, right?
But I guess that's not a good example, because, like, you know...
Well, so I guess I'm asking, like, how do we get past that part? Would you expect someone who is a clairvoyant with good intuition to be able to repeat the experiment and more often
Yes.
get a positive result than a
Yes.
negative. There you go. So that's all I was sort of
Oh,
I was
yeah.
trying to deviate
I was like,
into.
yeah,
So-
yeah. You definitely want.
So would that be evidence, you think?
To some, but I
some?
think a lot of people still are closed off to that idea that that's even a real thing. You know,
Possibly.
yeah, for sure. There's a ton of people out there that believe that that stuff is fake.
So if you had somebody that was proclaiming to be a clairvoyant and you believed that they were a clairvoyant and made positive predictions, and there was a way to test them, to bring about an experiment and test them multiple times, right? But the results started to show that they couldn't really get a positive enough result that went outside of statistical plausibility, like with the case of there's always going to be like maybe half of the people who guessed correctly when there's only two options, right?
Sort of don't get the question.
So if we run the experiment, and let's say it's an experiment that has the cards, right?
Right.
But the clairvoyant, when we keep running the experiment, seems to only do about, on average, guessing correctly 1 in 52 times.
Oh, I'd say you're probably not really tuned into that.
There you go. So you would then change your mind about that clairvoyant?
Well, yeah. I'd be like, yeah, I mean, you kind of suck.
So, let's see. So what we have then is there's this supernatural thing, this supernatural effect that you believe is real.
Mm-hmm.
And earlier you mentioned that things can be real if we believe that they're real.
Yeah.
But if we experiment it, if we do an experiment, at least as it applies to an individual claim, you would be willing to change your mind about that claim.
Maybe.
With enough experimentation. And so as if we could say that there is some physical means of experimenting.
Yeah, experiments are good, but I don't know, my beliefs change all the time. Like, I'm not gonna say that this is the way something is because it's the way that it is today. It might be a completely different thing happening tomorrow, and I might be a completely different person tomorrow. So I can't sit here and say this is what something is and forevermore that's what it is. Like, I don't believe that. Like, I believe things are always shifting. People are always shifting. Things can always change. Things can always be different. So, that's, yeah.
So would you say that you are someone who generally wants to believe true things?
I don't really know what that means.
To believe in things which are true as like opposed to things which are not true. I'm the very logical framing of the question, not setting you up for anything.
No, I know, but I guess I still don't get it,
Okay, so
Yeah, of course people want to believe in things that are like true for them because it makes you feel validated in a way.
Is there a difference though between what's true versus what people believe is true?
No. Again, going
No
back to the
difference.
beginning, whatever you believe is true for you. Like I might believe something completely different from you, but that doesn't make either of us the ultimate truth. You're right, I'm right. None of that's actually real.
But
I'm right because I believe it's true.
Okay.
You're right because you believe it's true. And yet we believe two separate things. So it's just like,
can we both be wrong?
of course.
Okay, so in the case where we're both wrong, then the truth would be something which neither one of us happens to believe, right?
Maybe there is no truth. Like there's no table.
Well, let's see. If there,
I think it's all something we've created. Yeah.
in the case where there is no table, like if the table was an illusion, would it be true to say that nothing exists which still represents the table?
I guess self. We are the table, in a sense, because we've created it with our minds. It's coming from somewhere, and it's coming from source, and so it's coming from us.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
But, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Your name once again, I forgot to write it down.
Myla.
Myla.
Myla. What? Remind me yours?
Steve.
Steve. Nice. What is this for?
Well, so we're philosophy enthusiasts. We like to help people reflect on what it is they believe and why they believe it, and the sort of objective in the end is to make what is otherwise very uncomfortable conversations, at least for me, the main motivation is to get a lot of those uncomfortable conversations to be something that can be more often had. Like, we can have a civil dialogue, a civil discourse, even if we disagree on what's real and what's true.
I like it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I